Hello, my love. I would absolutely love to tell you how I made my ancestor deck. And I'm not going to tell you that this is how you should make your ancestor deck, but hopefully, me explaining the process helps facilitate something a little bit, okay? So, I actually started this deck I think about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. So the deck we're talking about here is going to be my new Ancestor Oracle. For those of you guys who don't know, I was teasing this a little while back and I got this comment on the video. And I really love talking about this deck because this is a really great example of how the spirits will push you into things that you don't know quite what's going on, but we're doing our best as good little spiritual soldiers and doing what they tell us to do, right? So when I first started spirit work, I initially started, you can see her back here, with Mother Goddess Aset. She was my patroness. She's the first spirit who ever came to me. She immediately claimed me as like, been with you your whole life. You are my child, and I have been working with her ever since. But when it came time to start working with more spirits, I was very wary. I was raised Catholic. I did convert to Christianity in my early adulthood life, so I was very nervous. I was very scared, right, because of all of the things that religion tells us about spirits and demons and whatnot. So I was terrified. And a lot of people were telling me to start with ancestor work. They were saying ancestor work is the best place to start. Your ancestors will always have your best interest at heart, right? So even if you want to pursue spirit work and you're afraid of opening yourself up to other spirits, at least start with your ancestors. Learn the ins and outs of working with spirits, essentially. So that's what I did. And initially, I started off real slow with just a white candle. Like, this is the basics of what everybody tells you, is get like a white candle and a cup of water and just, open yourself to the communication. So if you are not comfortable just opening yourself up, right? If you're not set in your protections and things like that just yet, you can cast a circle. And this is what I used to do for everything because, again, I was terrified of the world. So I used to cast a circle and invite only the ancestors of my highest good to that circle. And I'd light my little candle and I'd have my little cup of water and I would just meditate in the circle and try to reach out my little spiritual feelers, see who was there, see who was reaching back, talk to them. But it was really hard for me to find time and motivation to actually do that because, like, let's be honest, when you're starting out with meditation, it kind of fucking sucks. So my ancestors kept telling me, like, every time I would reconnect with them, they wanted me to talk to them more. They were like, we want you to sit with us every single day. We want to talk to you every day. We just want to be a part of your life. You don't have to ask us for things. You don't have to give offerings every time you come to talk to us. You don't have to make an altar. You don't have to do anything. We just want to sit and talk with you the way that you talk with your mom about what just happened earlier today, or the way that you call your grandma just to catch up. We just want to talk. We just want to be a part of your life because we're here and we want you to know that we are here when you need support, when you need love, when you need guidance, things like that. So I asked them how we could go about facilitating that relationship, and we came up with a couple different ideas first, which worked for me until they didn't, right? They were really hit or miss. One of them that was really big for me was my rock casting. So I don't know if some of you guys know about like charm casting, right? Or rune casting, bone casting. Like, for me, I love rocks. I have a ton of rocks. I'm constantly picking up rocks. So what we did was pull about 20 to 30 little rocks, assign them each meanings, and I would sit and converse with them, bring the rocks to the circle, throw the rocks. We'd have like a little rock casting reading. And that worked for a while until it didn't, right? Because I had to keep using my references, my notes, to remember which stone meant what. It's a little harder to do with rocks and seashells, in my opinion, than it is with charms or letters or actual words and things like that. So for me personally, I am a tarot reader, and I gravitate towards cards a lot easier. It's just easier for me to reach for cards and to want to work with cards. So they told me to dedicate a deck to them. This is not the actual deck. The actual deck that I made with them is put away. It's like consecrated. It's really sacred. Nobody's ever seen it. But it's the exact same deck as this one. I made a copy because I wanted to be able to talk about it, right? So it is one of these decks, because this is my favorite deck. They said pick your absolute favorite all-time deck that you are going to love handling on a regular basis. So I got this one. And what we agreed upon doing was meeting every day for, I think it was like 5 cards or something, 5 or 10 cards. And that was hard to do. That was hard to commit to, I'll be honest. But we did. And we used to meet every night after I'd get my baby child to bed, after everybody went to sleep, after the whole house was calm. And sometimes it would take hours just to get a couple of cards done. So as you can see, it's a regular tarot card deck. And what they used for these messages, for the channeling of these messages, was my knowledge of tarot and tarot meanings, and the feeling that I put on these cards, if that makes sense. Like sometimes as an intuitive reader, you'll have kind of different meanings that go along with cards. Like you'll know the book meaning of cards, but sometimes the cards will mean a little something different to you, or you have something that resonates a little differently with each deck. So they utilized that information, and we would sit there and we would talk, and we would try to get through this a couple cards at a time. And sometimes we just couldn't do it. Sometimes there were days where we'd sit there and nothing was coming out. We weren't agreeing on the messages. I thought that sounded stupid or whatever, or they thought that my ideas were too tarot based, because I didn't want it to be just regurgitating tarot meanings. I wanted it to be specific to us and our language and the way that we speak together and the way that we were trying to build a language and a relationship. So as you can see here, I do have 2 messages per card. These are meant to be upright and reverse. So how funny, of all the cards. But yeah, so the upright, I would channel a message based on the feel of this card upright, and then I would channel a message based on the feel of this card reversed. And again, some of them were extremely loosely based. Like some of them are pretty still understandable as tarot, and I tried really hard not to make it that way, but I wanted to make it so that they were very loosely based, so that the tarot deck, the tarot images, the tarot names themselves didn't have anything to do with this deck, and I didn't need the tarot cards for it eventually, right? So the deck that I made specifically has actually a lot harsher messages. They're, because I'm a tough love kind of person. Like things don't stick in my brain, things don't get through if you're not mean to me about it for some reason. So the way that my ancestors and I came up with these cards are a little mean, a little crass, a little nasty on some of them, a little fucking rude. And when I started using these for actual client readings, it was hard for me to use them because I'm not like a crass reader. Like I'm a crass person, but I'm not a crass reader, you know. So for me to use this deck with these meanings, it wasn't really vibing with me so much. So at some point after I had made my Mac Miller tarot deck, they told me, now that you know the process of making a tarot deck, we're gonna make that Ancestor Oracle deck. And I was like, no, that's my deck. That's our deck. What are you doing? What are you talking about? And they were like, no, you're gonna make that Oracle deck. Even if you sell only one of them and nobody else ever fucking buys it, you're gonna do it because I said so. So here it is. And I went to just a regular playing card website. There's a lot of them where you can make your own cards. They do have an option to make tarot cards, specifically tarot card size. They let you pick the cardstock, the finish, if you want gilding, if you want boxes. There's options to make books, things like that. And I made this background on Procreate with my daughter. That took a long fucking time. And I ended up coming to the idea of doing front and back instead of the upright and reverse. And my ancestors sat with me and we channeled the message to imbue the deck and everything. And And if you have any more questions, let me know. I hope that helps.